Very happy to be here with you today. I'm really sorry that we had to postpone this event for a couple of times, but we had a very severe attacks during our last webinars. So we were trying to find a solution to really give you a very good experience, and we hope that using YouTube everything will be fine. So let's start immediately. I'm gonna start introducing myself. As usual, I'm Alessandro Carmelita. I'm a psychologist, a psychotherapist, Italian psychologist and psychotherapist. I've been working for 25 years in the psychotherapy field. I've helped hundreds of clients, not only in Italy but also in UK. I've been training hundreds of therapists, actually thousands of therapists around the world, not only with my live webinars, but also with my video courses. I've been trained by some of the best experts in the world: Jeffrey Young for schema therapy, Sue Johnson for emotionally focused therapy, Diana Fosha for accelerated experiential dynamic psychotherapy. And I'm the co-creator, together with Marina Chiri, of the mindful interbeing mirror therapy, a therapy that is done in front of a large mirror. So every single technique, every single practice that we do is done client and therapist in front of a large mirror. This therapy was defined as revolutionary by some of the best experts in the world. I want to say thank you to CloseByYou, the community that is hosting our events and that is a free community, actually, is giving the opportunity to thousands of people to really connect to themselves, go deep into their inner life, understand what it's really happening inside of them, understanding their emotional, psychological, and relational issues, and working on these issues totally for free. So we have several different tools that are available for all of you, and you can find them on the dashboard of your on closebyou.com. When you register for free, you get into your dashboard, and then you can go to the library, for example, and you can find 24. With this one, it will be 25 webinars that were video recorded on very, very interesting topics with many different slides, hundreds of slides, many different techniques, a new understanding about your emotional, psychological, and relational issues, all based until now on the approach of schema therapy. But soon we will also talk about the mindful interbeing mirror therapy, the therapy in front of the mirror that we created. You also have an ebook library in which you can find some ebooks. One is an extensive one that is based on knowing the schemas, maladaptive schemas, and all your emotional, psychological, and relational issues, how to recognize them, understanding why those issues are there, and what to do in order to feel better. And it's also a very good um, lens through which you can see and understand the behaviors of others. It's very important also to mention that we have a free self-assessment questionnaire. You can fill this questionnaire online from your computer, from your phone, and you will immediately have the results in terms of schemas. Then if you go to that ebook, you can immediately understand what it's talking about. And also you can go into the video library, watch all the video recorded, and you will become an expert about schema therapy, about your schemas, about everything regarding the emotional, relational, and psychological issues. And also, you will learn so many different techniques that you could apply during your regular life. And obviously, if you need help of an expert on Close by You, you can find a directory of experts. You can also find my address, email address. You can contact me. You can ask for help. We have planned to have several different other possibilities for you. One is already available, the journaling. All the others are still in the waiting list, let's say, because as I said to you, this is a free community. So we are really waiting to have all the funds to be able to hire the right people to help us to really organize all these different possibilities, like the 5 a.m. Close by You Club. So activities very early in the morning. So then in the middle of the morning, we will have some groups in which we will make some practices, psychological, emotional practices, and also bodily practices. And then we have the last practice of the day. Then we will have the safe circle groups in which we will talk about several issues. We will share issues of our lives, and we will support each other and work with other techniques on those issues. Then hold me tight groups for couples. We have already organized events for teenagers, parents, and also teachers. We will also have the groups 1% change groups, and we have many other ideas, but we need your support, obviously, to do everything we have in mind. We are really motivated by not only um, by the knowledge that we have, but also by the fact that as human beings, we also have gone through our issues in life. We had to work on those issues, and I personally decided to become a psychologist to spend my life helping others. So this is why we created Close by You. This is how you could contribute. You could, first of all, you could donate some money, and it's always really important for us, because it's really good for us, because you can help us to hire the technicians and the people that could really help us to uh, create all the different tools for you. As I said to you, I have infinite ideas that would really change the life of thousands and thousands of people. And then you could also share with all your contacts the possibility to have access to this community that is really already affecting the life of so many, and that could help many more. I mean, if we all would share with 10 people in a few months, we would be millions, not just the thousands. And this topic is going to be 1 hour talk topic. This first hour is going to be just with me, because we are video recording, so you will have the possibility to have access to the video recording of this webinar later. And we don't want to really put at risk your privacy, so we are not showing the face of anyone else. But the second part of the event will be on Zoom, so you already received the Zoom link, because I sent an email, and you can also find it on Meetup. So the Zoom link to have the access to the second part of the event. The second part is the best part, actually, for me, because people are coming on Zoom. That part is not video recorded, so the privacy is guaranteed. And then everybody usually share the contents, the issues, they feedback, and then we support each other, we understand each other, and it's really, really touching and really, really important for so many. So I really invite you to participate to the second part. So on our, if you register to Close by You, you can also find in the page of the event, you can find the Zoom link down under the player. There's also chat. And let's start. I don't want to take more time. So the topic that we are really touching today is how we can consolidate healthy habits and live a better life. So this is something so difficult. We all experience something that is so strange. I mean, we understand that our life maybe could be better. In many cases, could be really better. We know what to do because we found online so many videos that tell us what to do. There are so many important experts that are telling us uh, exactly all the activities. So we plan to do all these things, and then we are very motivated, and then we start with all our effort, and then in a few days, and we start to change. We start to lose the motivation, and we start to change, and we start to go back, and we start to really um, going back to what we were doing before. So what what we want to do is to build actually healthy and lasting routines. So how can we do? uh, as I was saying, motivation seems not enough for us. So we're not today. We're not going to talk about all these different things that you have to do in order to be disciplined and to be able to do everything every day. We're going to go deep into what is really happening, why it's so difficult for us to understand, to sorry, to keep doing things, and we will try to understand what our inner blocks are, and how to work on these inner blocks. So all the other activities will be the activities that you could learn from other people. I'm not talking about exactly what you want to do, about what will be the object of your routine, the content of your routine, but I'm going to talk about all the problems that are stopping you to keep this routine lasting in the time. So the thing is that when this happens to us, when we are not able to really do what we would like to do, it's not because we are lazy. Sometimes the problem is that when we when we start with all the motivation, and then we stop doing things, or we start not to be able to do exactly what we were supposed to do, then we start to judge ourselves. We are starting from we are actually the first judges of um, ourselves, and then we compare ourselves with others. We see online all these people that are very successful, and it's always worse and worse and worse. And we can actually, something that that was supposed to be something good for us, a new routine, becomes actually a boomerang that comes back to us and hit us in on the face, because it's a new opportunity for us to really criticize ourselves and feel even more depressed. So it's something that, instead of bringing us up and making us fly in our life, really strive in our life, is really pushing us down and making us miserable. So it could be going to gym, meditation, waking up early, studying, eating better. So everything at the beginning feels so good, and this is actually uh, this is the best moment when we start. We are motivated, we start, and that is the very good moment. But then something is missed on on the path. So when we start to miss something, then everything collapses, and then we stop doing things, and maybe we do even less than before, than we were starting with the new activity. So when this happens, it's not just happening randomly. It's not just happening because I don't know, for some any strange reason, but it's happening because there are some psychological aspects behind all of that that we want to really understand. So it's not really the problem. The motivation is the emotional fuel, but this motivation could come and go. So the routines, the motivation could come and go, but the routines should be actually consistent, and need regulation. So If the emotional system is actually always under stress and under threat, the motivation burns very fast and disappears very fast. So we are many times we are over stressed uh, by all our life, all our um, mass that we have to keep doing every day for maybe for years. Um, so it's something that is really burning immediately. So there are, as I was saying, there are some blocks that usually when this motivation goes away and you stop doing things, these blocks are not really immediately clear for you. Otherwise, it would be very easy knowing what is really happening inside of you, understanding that block, understanding why it's there. You should just do certain things to work on that block, change that, and then everything will be fine. But it's not so easy to understand, and it's not so easy to see why this is really happening. These things happens even without our consciousness, and they are automatic. They start, these blocks start without us being aware of those blocks, and they start with emotional memories, with maybe with emotions, with pressure, and then we immediately start to use survival strategies in order to cope with all these memories and emotions. And these coping strategies usually make us fail our new routines. These strategies take the control, this part of us that is trying to survive to all these blocks that are inside, that are activated inside, to all these memories, all these emotions. Then these coping strategies become the survival mechanism that is used every moment during our life without being really aware of that. We have been talking so much in our previous events about these strategies, about schemas, and we are going to talk about schemas in this webinar too. But I really invite you to go on your dashboard on closebyou.com, go on video library and watch all the other webinars. If you do that, then you will become an expert and you will have so many tools ready to be used. So I want to remind you that we are going to have the second part on Zoom. It's not going to be video recorded, so you will be able to see the others, share your feedback, share your eventually your issues, and be supported. And that part is really, really helpful. So you will find if you go on closebyou.com, register there, you can find the Zoom link there under the player, or you should have already received the email that we sent to all the participants through Meetup. So if you don't see the email, go um, on your folder, spam folder, and then check there because it should be there. So the schema therapy perspective, as I was saying, I was training schema therapy, and I usually, until now, we use the model of schema therapy because it's very useful, very clear, very simple. So it really helps to understand what is going on inside of ourselves. So what is the schema perspective in terms of internal blocks and routines? Um, so the schemas, first of all, let's talk about what schemas are. Schemas are emotional patterns. So when we are little, when we are children, we all have certain emotional needs. And these emotional needs are expressed by us as children, crying usually, or with in many different ways that could be interpreted by our significant others, usually our parents. And if they are recognized, these needs are recognized, welcomed, and then met adequately by our parents, then we could develop adaptive schemas, positive schemas. We start to build up our brain with these neuronal connections that are really positive, based on trust, based on consistency of good answers to those needs. But if those needs are not welcomed and not recognized, actually the child could be punished for expressing those needs through crying or in any other possible way. Then the child, depending on what kind of experience the child does, could develop different kind of schemas, specific schemas. As I was saying, these schemas are emotional patterns. So once they are created, in terms of neurons, they are specific clusters or neurons, like softwares in our brain, or we could call them our mind lenses. Once these schemas are created, depending on what kind of experiences created those schemas, then we tend to scan the reality in a way, in a specific way. So these schemas are push us to really look in the reality in a way to find certain kind of informations, and then interpret those informations depending on what kind of schema is activated. So let's give an example. If we live an experience of abuse, so we are psychologically abused. So our parents, when we are children, instead of accepting and welcoming our needs, instead of meeting those needs, they are maybe treating us very badly and psychologically abusing us. So what usually happens is that the child starts to create this schema that is really scanning the reality, looking for any possible information that is saying that a new threat is coming. So, in order to anticipate that threat, in order to anticipate that trauma, and in order to survive. So, once the child does that, the reality becomes really dangerous, a reality that is really threatening. So instead of seeing other things, the child sees only certain kind of things, and then all those things are interpreted as a possible threat. And then the anticipation is anticipation for a possible new abuse. It could be the same for abandonment. If I receive love at a certain moment, and then the love is taken away, and I don't understand why this is happening as a child, very early. I don't have yet the capacity to express language or words because it's very, very early in our life. Then I start to feel that love is not consistent, and then I start to build up my brain in a way that makes me feel that I cannot trust relationships, and that people will abandon me, people will not be there for me, and then everything will be seen in this way. So reality, we don't see the reality as it is, but we see the reality through these lenses, mental lenses, these schemas, maladaptive schemas. So these schemas shape the way we see ourselves, how we interpret effort, and what we expect will happen if we fail. So obviously, schemas are are always running in our brain, and always elaborating information, and uh, and regarding what we do or why we want to do certain things, and regarding how we do certain things, they are processing the information in a way that will be, maybe will say, oh, you are failing, you are not good enough, or many other things. We're going to see several schemas now. So the routines in general, they already could be perceived as not neutral, but actually they can activate those schemas, because these schemas, when we are forming in the childhood, usually with all these coping strategies, instead of being really slowly change and become functional or positive, they keep strengthening in a negative way, and they keep growing all the time, and they function always more and more and more. and and also when we decide that we want to have certain kind of routines, the routines are not neutral situation. They are actually activating our schemas. So they are not only activated our schemas, but many times the reason why we decide we want to have certain kind of routines is related to our schemas. So it's actually a way to really reinforce our schemas many times. So in order to have healthy routines, we need to understand, first of all, why we want to have these routines and why we are acting in a certain way. And then we need to understand what is behind that. So all those schemas and all those coping strategies that we are using. For some people, routine activates hope. For many others, activates fear. But even when it activates hope, many times it's the first moment, because the second moment is a hope that fail. So it's a failure of hope that is always worse and worse and worse in our life. So every time becomes more difficult to start again, to try to have certain kind of routines. Imagine when we want to lose weight. So imagine how the body is resisting already to this attempt, but also if the mind has all these issues, all these schemas and these coping strategies, then every time becomes more difficult, more difficult, more difficult. And then at a certain point, we lose hope and we stop fighting, and we just surrender to the life and to this thing inside of us that is stronger than us, stronger than our willing. And this is really really sad. I see so many clients in therapy that are in this position, so they are stuck in that position for years. And people that are very depressed, people that are trying to find a solution to their depression, to something that is proposed online many times, and that is another proof of the fact that they are not good enough, because they are not able to do it. So mm, when the schemas are activated, as I was saying to you, these schemas are created when very early in childhood. So when there's no episodic memory, there's only implicit memory. So everything is in our body. There's no language. There are no words. Everything is feelings, emotions, and those memories are stored in our brain, in certain parts of our brain that are the limbic areas of our brain, so very deep part of our brain. And they are um, a way of an outside of our awareness and of our control. So they are not really logic. The logic actually disappear when the ling- limbic part of our brain, so the very deep part of our brain, is activated. Many times we are flooded by very strong emotions, and the prefrontal cortex, that is the actually the part that is really related to cognition and logic, is shut down. So we are not able to really be present to ourselves. So what I always suggest during our webinars is that we first has to we first have to calm ourselves down, try to calm our body down, and then slowly we can activate the prefrontal cortex, and then we could work in more cognitive way. So a very common example of schemas. Let's think about the failure schema. So you start a routine and then you miss one day. This is the experience. I say you because it could be you, but it's also me. I mean, I start a routine. I have this very strong motivation. Then the following day, I'm tired. I'm feeling my body is hurting, and there are many different things to do. They are really priorities. I can see that those priorities are pushing me. The world is stressing me, and attacking me in many different ways. And then I say, okay, today I cannot do that. That the conditions are not good enough. And then I stop. And then what usually happens is that an inner voice appears saying, see, you never change. You never change. This is you. You are not the one that is able to do things. You never change. So this voice, it's not really the reality, but it's a very strong voice, and it's accompanied by very strong emotions. When we say that, when we say, oh, this is you, you never change, it means you are not good enough, you have no value, all the others are better than you. There are so many different kind of meanings related to this, and this is something so important. As I was saying to you, if we have this kind of schema, then every time we try to do something and the schema is activated, then it's again, the schema is reinforced, and when it's reinforced, then it switches on very easily, and it stays on for a long time, and we are not able to do anything else. We just have to survive and try to use those coping strategies that we're going to see soon. So most people obey to it automatically. So what are the coping styles? The coping styles is actually we call about a style, coping style, when we use a certain coping behavior frequently in life. So it becomes a kind of a style. It's something that is in us quite frequently. So it's our style. So when the schemas are activated, we are really flooded by very strong emotions, and then we need to survive. We need to try to do something to manage those emotions. So we start to use these coping strategies. So some people could start to avoid, so could start to could stop completely and say, okay, I'm not gonna do it. I'll leave it. That's it. Or some could overcompensate and push themselves even too hard, always too hard. um, I actually did this several times. And it's a way I it was very difficult. Even if I had a knowledge, it was very difficult to recognize that. So what I tended to do was to start very hard from the beginning, and then that was a really a way to sabotage myself and to prove to myself that I was not good enough. So I had to work on that, and obviously we never end working on ourselves. So I cannot say that I'm a guru on this planet. I can say that I'm a human being, and I'm also a therapist. I have certain knowledge, but obviously we all have to work on ourselves all the time. So some other people could surrender and give up. So it's all of these are all these kind of coping strategies are, as I was saying, strategies in attempt to survive, in attempt to survive to the emotional pain and to protect ourselves. So neuroscience show us something very important. So when we have these schemas, these schemas are activated, we are actually feeling under threat. We don't feel safe. Consistency is not possible in our life. So we cannot be consistent if we need to really protect ourselves from a threat. And every single aspect related to these schemas is related to possible threats. Could be an abandonment, it could be an abuse, it could be a failure. It could be many different many different things, but they are all threats. So the body always chooses protection over improvement, always. So whenever we are under threat, that is why we decide to, our neurosystem decides to protect ourselves, and so everything else is let there down. So under stress, we move into fight, flight, or freeze. These are the copings that I was talking about. So the fight looks like it's punishing aggressively. Flight looks like procrastination, and freeze looks like feeling blocked and numb. So these are just some examples, where you can find in your life many different examples, and you could understand, is it uh, what am I using here? Am I fighting? Am I uh, flying, flighting, or am I freezing? So it's always very important, when once you have a knowledge, then it's always very important to really um, embody this knowledge. Try to really look inside of yourself and try to understand yourself, and try to become aware of things, because becoming aware of things, it's the first step. It's not the solution. Many therapists say that, okay, once you will become aware, you will solve your problem. That's not true. You become aware of of something. That is the first step. Then you need to change certain things. You need to work on that awareness. Again, for people that register later, you can find the Zoom link on the account, on your account on Close by You. If you register for free, in your dashboard, under the in the page of the event, under the player, you can find the Zoom link for the second part. Soon we will be there. It's going to be a safe place. It's not going to be video recorded, so you will be able to share your feedback and ask your questions and so on. So, as I was saying to you, I was used to start strong and fail. So starting very strongly is often not a motivation; it's a pressure. It's related to the schemas. So it's already a coping strategy, and it's a need to prove something. I need to prove something so I can manage that schema, to ourselves or to others. But this pressure that we feel is too much. We cannot sustain that, and so everything collapses, and it's inevitable. It's not something that, I mean, we cannot put ourselves in that situation and hope that magically things will change. If there are those schemas, and those schemas are activated, then you will feel under threat, and then you will have to use certain kind of coping strategies, and and so the routine will fail. So what we were talking about was, we were saying that when we we were little, we had certain emotional needs. And if those needs were not recognized, those schemas were activated. But those needs are not just in the childhood, those needs are our needs. We all have our needs. So when those needs are not activated, not met right now, that could also um, activate certain schemas. So healthy routine, saying to you, requires safety, permission to go slowly, instead of really doing immediately everything. You need to give to yourself the permission. Usually there's a voice inside of ourselves that says the opposite. You don't have the permission to stop. You don't have the permission to go slowly. You need to be strong. You need to do it very loudly, very boldly, very uh, strongly. Otherwise, you're already failing. And this is something that others are told us or made us feel when we were very little. And we kept having this ideas because we created those schemas inside of us. And healthy routines, as I was saying, not only requires safety, permission to go slowly, but also compassion toward ourselves, and also realistic expectations. A person that I really admire says to me said to me something that is really, really important. She said, expectations kill everything. And I think she's really right. And these expectations usually are not healthy expectations, they are really related to schemas. And these schemas could be even an abandonment schema. So when we have an abandonment schema, we could also have the expectations that others will be there for us, even if we have them. I mean, that we are anticipating that they will not, but we live that with in a relationship with an expectation that they will change and they will do something. Otherwise, we 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 panic, and then when we start to feel all those strong emotions, then we really put the expectations on the others, and they kill everything. They kill every possible relationship or every possible thing in our life. So if these needs are not met, routines feel like a threat, as I was saying, and they cannot really be created and not supported. The schemas behind routine um, failure. So very often we find schemas such as failure, unrelenting standards, defectiveness, emotional deprivation, and vulnerability. So these schemas turn routines, as I was saying, into pressure, judgment, and fear. So routines become actually not something positive. Routines should really make our lives simpler, and also make our lives a better place. But they become a nightmare for us if we have certain kind of schemas. What are these schemas? If we talk about the failure schema, it's really related to the perception. We created the perception that, and that it's really, first of all, emotional, and then uh, we also create a stream of thoughts, ideas, and also images about ourselves as not enough, with less skills, less capacities, less qualities in general of the others. So we anticipate that we will not be able to achieve certain goals as the others are doing. And then we have the unrelenting standards. So this schema is actually usually seen as not a primary schema, but is a schema that was created in attempt to manage other schemas. Let's say that I have a failure schema, and I feel that I'm not good enough. Then I could create an unrelenting standard schema and say to myself, I need to, in a certain way, to recover from that, doing more, achieving very big goals, being the best, trying to do always more and more and more. But this more is always pushed forward, and it's like a marriage that we cannot really, uh, really achieve. It's something. It's a goal that we will never achieve. So, unrelenting standards are always putting us in a situation in which we are always in a certain way failing, because we will never be perfect, and perfection doesn't really exist when you have an unrelenting standard. The effectiveness and shame schema is the feeling that there's something really negative deeply inside of us, and if this part of us will be seen by others, it would be not tolerated. So it's because of that that it's called effectiveness and shame. So there's a lot of shame when we have this kind of schema, and we when we have this schema in our mind, all these schemas, we are always remember scanning the reality in a specific way. The reality changes. The lenses are different, If those lenses are, if I have the lenses of the effectiveness and shame schema, everything will be seen in that way. If I have the lenses of the abandonment schema, everything will be seen in that way. So the emotional deprivation schema is when we feel that we will be always alone, always lonely. We will not be able to really do certain things with the help of others. No one will support us. And vulnerability is the feeling that something really negative will happen to us or to others that we love. So it could be illness, or it could be something really negative in our life. So we feel very, very vulnerable. Again, the Zoom link is on your dashboard. Sorry, on the page of the events on CloseByYou.com. If you register there, you can find the Zoom link, but you should have already received the email with the Zoom link for the second part. So, unrelenting standard example, this is the schema that says if I do not know it perfectly, it does not count. This schema creates intensity but not consistency. So I could say I have to do so much. I put all my efforts, but then it's not consistent. And this is really, really important because consistency is really, really important with routines, as we were saying, and for achieving goals. When we talk about the 1% change, we talk about consistency, doing little but every day. Intensity always burns out. This is really important. And when we burn out, then we feel even more under threat. We feel even more vulnerable, and we feel even more lonely, and we feel even more that the world is a dangerous place and no one will help us. So we really need to understand that this is not a 100 meters fast run. It's a marathon, and we need to keep that in mind, because if we think that marathon is a 100 fast uh, run, then we will not survive. You cannot run a marathon as if you were running 100 meters. So keep in mind that. Lower the entry point. If the failure schema is active, the routine must be extremely small. So remember that. This is the first, I call them strategies, but it's really, really important to keep in mind. If you have the failure schema, you can go online, you can check also, you can fill the questionnaire that I was telling you, you have on your dashboard. It's free. Then you see if you have a failure schema and you want to start a routine, just start very small, little steps. Sometimes it's very important to take one normal step and divide that in 10 little steps, and then start from the first one. uh, so so small that it feels safe. So as I was saying, we need to feel, our neurosystem needs to feel safety before improvement. So the key question is not why I stopped. The key question is what emotion appeared just before I stopped. When I realize what kind of emotion and I focus on the emotion, then I could ask myself also, what are my needs now? What do I need now? And what schema is actually active? Remember that this, you can go and watch the different other webinars and learn everything about needs. Remember, every schema is was created because some specific needs were not recognized and adequately met when we were children. So if you recognize that there's a schema, there must be also a need that is not recognized and met. And if you recognize that need, then you can give to yourself what you need in order to feel better. Okay, so routines should regulate you. So an healthy routine reduces stress. So, but how many of you have ever felt that a routine reduces stress? Actually, I can say that majority of people feels the opposite. So feels that, as I was saying, that the routine is stressing us, and it's something that we are adding on top on everything else. So, but in the if we are working on our schemas and our needs, then the routine could really transform itself and become safety itself, and it could support energy. Instead of feeling less energy, we could feel really rejuvenated all the time. If your routine drains you, something is wrong, as we are saying, not with you, but with the design of the routine. Remember, not everything that is said that it works online applies to everybody. You need to know yourself. You need to know what you need at that specific moment, in that specific place of your life. So, and then you give that to yourself. Let's say that you change a country, you move to another country, and there are so many different things. And in the previous country, you were having the certain kind of routines, and you want to have those routines even in the new country. But you you know that it's not like that. I mean, if you have certain kind of schemas, but not only that, but life is really heavy, then it's difficult. You need to adjust, you need to work on many different things, and you need to be compassionate toward yourself and understand that you are not a superhero, you are just a human being. And then you need to first feel safe, you need to first feel settled, and then you could start again having different kind of routines. But we cannot accept that because there's a voice inside of us that says, no, you must do things, you must produce, you must keep going. Also life is telling us, because we need to make money, we need to live a certain kind of life at a certain level. And so we are very, very critical, very strict with us, with ourselves. And um, and it, and that is actually the way to push ourselves always lower and lower and lower and feel miserable. And then what is the solution? A part of us says, okay, let's add a new routine. That guy is telling us that this works very well, so let's do that. And then it's another opportunity to really push yourself down. And then you will feel, oh, nothing works with me. Why? Because the problem is me. I am the problem. And so we start to think about that, and we start to feel that we are not the human beings that we were before. Oh, I was younger, I was stronger, I was much more able before, and now everything is wrong. And so we start to build up a narrative in our mind that is totally negative and totally based on those schemas. And this is something that we need to recognize, because if we don't recognize that, then you can follow the best gurus in on the planet, actually on the universe, you will not succeed. So as I was saying, many routines are disguised self-punishment. Healthy routines feel supportive. So imagine that when you have healthy routines, imagine that you are living a life in which everything is very safe, gentle, and calm, relaxing. And then you have routines. They are supporting you in your life. But mm, but it's not like that. The majority of times it's not like that. So the majority of time, this idea of having routines is really a trap. So it could be a moment of awakening in a certain way, not in a spiritual way, but it in a psychological way, an awakening, because we could say, okay, I'm trying, I'm doing my best, but this is not working at all, and I'm feeling always more miserable. So there must be something wrong here, and it's not me. It's something that is running inside of me, but I haven't decided to have that. It's not because I've decided that I wanted to think like that, or it's not that because I'm thinking like that I'm a bad person. I'm not good. It's not about that. It's not about my value. It's about something that was installed inside of us before we were able to choose anything. We were not able to choose anything. We were little children, and that happened to us, and then our brain started to build up in a certain way. But we can become aware and change that, and and really create from maladaptive schemas. We could create adaptive and positive schemas and change the way we really live our life. It's very difficult though, so sometimes we need the help of others. Others, and when I say not just others, but it could be on close by you, but it also could be with therapists. Sometimes we need our coaches. Mm, yeah, and we deserve that. We deserve to be guided sometimes. Um, we are relational beings, so sometimes the change usually is relational. There's no change in in the solitude, or I mean in the loneliness, not the solitude. In the loneliness, we change with others. So the close by you approach, we always start from emotional safety. This is what we were saying, and then also we start from awareness, emotional safety. We want to calm ourselves down, normalize difficulties, and we work on those schemas, those patterns, and also the patterns are behavioral patterns. And we don't want to force the change. We want to understand ourselves and be supportive, healthy, loving toward ourselves. And we use small actions that the nervous system can tolerate. The 1% change is the best formula. Every day, 1%. So if you have one action, divide that for 100 actions and start from the first one. Every day, one action. You will take more time, but it will be consolidated. So first day you do 1%. Second day you do 1% plus 1%. Third day you will do 1%, 1%, 1%. And you keep doing that. Obviously, you will consolidate all these changes every day, always more. Uh, yeah, we said that. So remove perfection. We want to remove perfection, feeds unrelenting standard. Um, Sorry, perfection feeds unrelenting standard. So we want to remove that, and we want to really achieve imperfect actions, because imperfect actions weaken them the unrelenting standards. So we let's have that as a purpose. If we have unrelenting standards, and we know that this is actually a trap, let's start to think, I want to be imperfect. I want to be imperfect. I want to do something that is not totally done, not finished, not done in the best place, and I want to tolerate that. I want to stay in that situation. And every day I do a bit, but not never perfection. The perfection doesn't exist. Um, Done badly still counts. So let's write that down. Let's really prove to ourselves that we are keep doing it. Keep and remember, when you have unrelenting standards schema, the goal is not to achieve the perfection. The goal is to eliminate the unrelenting standards. Not because you want to fail, or you want to achieve you don't want to achieve good goals, but actually it's the opposite, because we having unrelenting standards, it's the way it's killing your routine and your possibilities. Strategy 3, anchor routines to emotions. So instead of fixed times, ask what I need when I feel like this. So I want to really become aware of what I'm feeling. So be in touch with your emotions, your body, and you want to be attuned to your body, to your emotional states. And then when you are attuned to those emotions, you want to give to yourself what you need. And obviously, this is a bit tricky because many of those emotions are related to schemas, and obviously when those schemas are activated, not only we have the emotion, but also we have several different kind of thoughts. It's very difficult to really have a witness perspective, so we could understand, oh, this is happening actually to me, and but I know that what I need is something different, so I'm gonna give to myself what I really need. No, it's the schema says to us, oh, you need that other person, you need that the person, that person stays with you. So you then you could try to send hundreds of messages and push that other person to stay with you, and obviously that other person will abandon you because at a certain point that person will not tolerate that anymore. I mean, it could happen, not always, because there are people that stay there consistently, even if that happens, but it's rare. So, strategy four: plan for collapse. A missed day is not a failure. So, this is really important. We need to go against the black and white way of thinking. So, everything is black or everything is white. No, it's not about that. There are different colors actually between white and black. There are different colors, um, different gradients, and so this is the reality even with what we do or what we feel. So it is a part of others who were taking care of us in a adequately way. So this part, the healthy adult, if it's there, this part repairs it and it doesn't punish ourselves when we are not able to do certain things. It's more loving, more compassionate, and it's not forcing us, but actually is making us feeling rewarded every time we do a little step. This is not automatic. It's something that we have to work on. Strategy five: name the coping mode. So obviously, when we the schema is activated, it's very difficult because we are flooded by very strong emotions, all these negative thoughts, but we can recognize the kind of behavior that we are using. So why don't we try to understand? Am I avoiding? Am I going away? Am I stop talking? Am I closing up into myself? Am I overcompensating? I'm fighting. I'm attacking. I'm doing more and more and more, or I'm surrendering. So I'm proving to myself that that schema was right. I'm not good enough, or I'm alone, no one will support me, everything is on my shoulders, I cannot count on anyone, or everybody are there to tease me, everybody are waiting that me to fail. All these negative things could be there because I have different schemas, so the routine would be impossible. So if we recognize this coping strategy, that could be an entry point. So we recognize those coping strategies, and then we can try to start to understand what schemas are there and what needs, and then change everything. Regulate the body first. So, as I said, when we are flooded by very strong emotions, the prefrontal cortex is shut down. So we need to really try to calm ourselves down, breathe, do some grounding exercises, and we want to slow down. And when the emotions go down, then the prefrontal cortex or comes up. We can be conscious, we can be present, and we could think, we could process things, and then we could act also in a different way. Uh, the, Otherwise, the routine will not last. So a good skill could be when we feel that that is actually happening to us. A good skill could be use certain kind of techniques to do that. So go and watch all the other videos that you have on your dashboard in the video library. There are several different techniques also for grounding, and you can try to work on your body so you calm yourself down, and then you could start your maybe your routine in a different way. In fact, actually, some programs, some routines are already starting with body habits. Let's say, for example, the 5 a.m. club, the one that we want also to develop in on a close by you with new groups, starts from meditation, physical activity. When you do physical activity, then your brain starts to produce several different substances that get into the bloodstream, and then you start to feel in a different way, and you open up certain kind of possibilities inside of yourself to do other things that are more difficult for you. But at that moment, they will be easier because you already did all these other things before. Add emotional rewards. So pleasure is it's not an optional. It's not that you have to sacrifice yourself uh, and not receiving nourishment or rewards. So emotional nourishment keeps routines alive, especially for people with emotional deprivation. Remember, if we have emotional deprivation, we feel alone, we feel not supported, we feel that nobody is there for us. And if nobody is there for us outside, we need to be there for ourselves, but in a loving way, not in a judgmental or critical way, in a loving way. It's very difficult. Replace pressure with rhythm. Instead of pressing ourselves to do more, more, and more, try to be consistent and try to be fluid. Try to have a rhythm, a different kind of rhythm. Allow flexibility in what you're doing, and also in the direction you're taking. Maybe it's not going in a certain direction is not the best. Try to find another direction when you are doing certain things. You need to really always listen yourself and try to give to yourself what you need at that moment. And then final practice. So, and I invite you to notice one routine that always fails in your life. Try to do that right now. And I would like you to try to identify the schema behind it. So we talk about several different schemas, but you don't have to do that actually right now. You could do it later after you have a better knowledge about schemas. Try to understand what is the schema that is really affecting your routine, and then try to find what needs are behind that schema, and then you want to take care of those needs as if you were a good parent to yourself, toward yourself. So try to choose a very small caring action. So that is a small action. It doesn't have to be something that solve all the problems and that could create a different life immediately like that. Like it's not magic. It's low. It's something small and slow. So always keep in mind, small and slow is the best thing. And then um, small and slow and also consistently. So what you want to do is not to change your life today, but to create safety now. To try to find a way to bring you back home. You want to bring you back your safe home. So if you are able to do that, then I'm sure that you will be able to start following the different routines. So this was actually the end of the event. We are a bit late. I hope I gave you certain kind of ideas. Remember, my goal is not to give a solution through one webinar. There are no magic solutions. I'm giving you a knowledge, but it's a partial knowledge. I understand that. This is not a full knowledge. We're always doing new webinars, but you have all the webinars video recorded. If you listen, watch all those video webinars and watch all the slides, then you will start to have a very solid knowledge that could be a life changer actually in your life. So start with that, because many people are sending us feedback saying that their lives are already changing. Some of them are asking for help, and I'm here. Obviously, if you want to receive help, you can contact me through CloseByYou.com. But many others are saying, okay, these webinars are already making me see the things in a different way and change the way I'm feeling and acting. So I hope this is going to be your case. Otherwise, just contact us. We are here to help. And it was really a pleasure. We're going to meet on Zoom now. I'm going to close this webinar, and you can go on closebyou.com. If you haven't registered yet, you can register for free. There's a Zoom call on a page of the event under the player. Click there. You can go on Zoom, but you should have already received the email through meeting. Sorry, Meetup, not meeting, Meetup, and with all these apps, so through Meetup, if you receive that email, on that email you can find the Zoom link. Okay, so I'll see you on Zoom, and you could share everything you want with me and with the others. I'll see you. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.